welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel, and that is the R in the RK Stumbling Bear, and I'm a reader and a writer. And I'm back today to do my final roundup for the self-published science fiction contest year 4. The winner was announced last week, but I hadn't quite finished the last finalist, and I wanted to finish it before I actually talked about it. And I'll share who the finalists that won at the end of this video. And I'll also link a nice article that talks about all 6 of the finalists. So 3 of the finalists came from the semi-finalist group I was with, and those were St. Elspeth by Wick Welker, Your Celestially by Al Hess, and Whiskey and Warfare by E.M. Hamill. So I had already read 3 of the 6 finalists, and I just had to read the other 3. And those 3 were On Impulse by Heather Texley, Bisection by Sheila Janae, and Accidental Intelligence by Brian Chafin. So those are the 3 that I'm going to be talking about today. So the first one I picked up was On Impulse by Heather Texley, and that's because space opera adventure is my jam. I gravitate towards that first, so that's what I picked up first, or the one that least screamed it to me. And yes, this very much is an adventure space opera book. Starts off with the main character finding her friend dead in his apartment. She had asked him to investigate something, and then she runs from the cops and uses conwoman tricks to get away to try to figure out who killed him and why. I had some issues with this book just because her background is actually a cop. So then she's running from the cops. I understand that she felt like, oh, hey, we got some corrupt cops in here, set up, whatnot. But at the same time, some of the decisions that she made, I felt were more impulsive and less well thought through from the background that this character had. But the ending's a lot of fun. You do very much get the adventure space opera. It just, for me, was, I had to stop my logical brain from thinking and just go along for the ride. Which, there's nothing wrong with books like that, but that wasn't the type of space opera I was necessarily looking for. And I found myself actually more interested in the side characters that she ends up interacting with than her. But in true space opera fashion, I did really enjoy all the places we went to see. They were very unique, and I enjoyed that. Like, we start off more in a kind of a desert area, open air market, and then you go to some different cities that have different technology. It was a lot of fun to kind of get to see the universe. I like that the author actually thought about how long does it take to go from this place to this place time-wise. Definitely showed that the character had to think and plan of what stops they were going to. And again, I enjoyed the plot of this book, the mystery. I think it was just how the character moved through the story didn't work for me. If she had made some different choices to get to the events that happened, I would have been more on board with it. But this was actually a very popular one for our contest, so I think I'm probably in the minority on this one. I then read Bisection by Sheila Janae, and this is an interesting take of what would happen if you had somebody who was humanoid or human-like, but then there were 2 people in that body. It very much kind of goes along the line of left brain, right brain. Each is an actual person versus just types of skills that your brain does. And what type of society would that create? So in this one, the main characters, again, 2. It's Tria and Ressa, so you have 2 of them. Tria is the logical one, and Ressa is the artistic one. I don't remember which brain sides they are considered, but they are with an expedition of scientists on their, I think, North Pole, and they come across an alien spaceship who, once the aliens realize that they have been seen leave because they weren't trying to do a first contact, and our main character decides to stow away. At this point, I don't know Triella Ressa very well to know why she would make that decision. You learn later, and it works for me. But you do learn very quickly that Triella Ressa comes from a society where the logical halves kind of control things. Depending on the partnership, depends on how much that left half controls. There's definitely some oppression in this system. I forget the name of the kind of society that they end up getting on a ship with, but they take advantage, be like, oh, advantage in a good way. Tria is a scientist, and so she's like, I'm going to study you guys, because of course she gets found out as a stowaway, and they're like, and we're going to study you back, which I thought was fascinating, the differences and everything. My one regret, or my one sadness, is this book took us to Earth, and I kind of feel like that might have been a cop-out, because Earth is very familiar, Earth gag's very familiar. I think that we still could have had this type of bigger plot story, but let it still stay in space with a variety of aliens, versus let's go to Earth and now things are very familiar for the reader. I do understand that they were trying to say maybe that Triella Ressa was human or had shared things with humans, and it gets explained at the end. I would have been fine with it not actually being a thing. To me, one of my takeaways from this book was you need both science and art to have a full and enriching life in society. And then the last book I finished for this contest was Accidental Intelligence by Brian Chafin. This is, I wouldn't say near future, but it's not far in the future either. And in this future, the world has finally turned into a world government. You have representatives, you have combines, which are basically corporations, and you have AIs in this representative government. AIs that had gained consciousness or sentience spontaneously. And then there's one AI who was actually created by other AIs. So we'll get into that a little bit more. From the synopsis, I kind of thought this was going to be more of a thriller-esque, and it is sort of, but not from the direction I was expecting from the synopsis. At the very beginning, we have a prologue with Andrew, and then the rest of the book, the POV, is Mason. And Andrew does come into it as a character, and kind of what you learned in the prologue, he comes and shares. And Mason is a very interesting character, but I did find myself wondering what's up with Andrew, what's he doing? He actually ends up just being there for Mason's story, and I thought that was kind of weird, or interesting use of him. And I can see where we needed the prologue to help us get centered into the plot of what was happening, or the things that were going to be needed. Because otherwise, if not, Andrew showing up and having some vital data would have seemed like, oh, here, we're just handing you things on a platter, plot-wise. I'm very much jumping ahead. Mason is a private eye. He was once a teacher. He takes on a job to find a missing brother, and quickly realizes that there are forces that are trying to make sure that this brother has definitely been disappeared. And as he's going to investigate against advice from other people, like his cop friend, he discovers there's a bigger plot going on, that there are some AIs who want to end humanity. Not all of them, just as every human is different, every AI is different. And he's recruited by Miranda, who is the AI that was created by other AIs, as part of the goal for her to see the future, which has pros and cons. And her ability to do so kind of is iffy. And Mason makes his way through dealing with various obstacles, finds out what happened to the missing boy, and then moves on to trying to save the world. Very fun, standard plot. I really like Mason as a character. I absolutely love his factotum, Sam. She is amazing. I was really actually kind of waiting for it to be revealed that she's a sentient AI now. She's close. Like, it really does feel like she's close. Definitely more of a thriller with like AI vibes. So those are the last 3 finalists I had to read for this contest. And the winner of this contest was St. Elspeth by Wick Welker, which is kind of cool that that one was in my initial group's batch and it made it all the way through. So congratulations to Wick Welker on that. I have a nice sun coming in and hitting me now. All of these finalists were actually fantastic for me. Definitely, if you're looking for some self-published science fiction, go check them out. And the next round of this contest, according to the website, which I'll also link down below, I think they're going to be looking for more judges here in a few weeks, towards the end of August, and then in September, they will be looking for more author submissions. So if you are a self-published author, or you're someone who does a lot of reviewing in sci-fi, please apply for either position. Thank you, and have a great day.